So, you're thinking of moving to Sanford, Florida, but where do you start? Perhaps you don't even know where Sanford is or what it has to offer. I'm Chuck Shaver of the Shaver Group with Keller Williams Heritage Realty. I've been here in this area for many years, and although this is not a comprehensive guide to this suburb of Orlando, it should give you a good idea of what it has to offer, and I'll speak to some of its warts too. First, what is Sanford? Sanford, also known as the Celery City, is the county seat of Seminole County and, according to the 2020 census, which is a couple years old now, has around 61,000 people. Sanford was originally known as Fort Mellon during the Seminole Wars of the 1830s, and because of its location on the shores of the St. Johns River and the advent of the commercial steamboat service, became a distribution point for the growth of Central Florida. In 1870, Henry Shelton Sanford had plans to make Sanford the transportation hub of all Central Florida, and he brought a bunch of investors here to chase that dream. By 1884, the town of Sanford was bustling with wharves, a railroad station, and a large hotel. It's known today as the Celery City because, after the freezes of 1894 and 1895 destroyed so much of the area's citrus industry, farmers turned to celery as a means to avoid total disaster, although most of the town's inhabitants still left town. Today, Sanford is the largest city and county seat of Seminole County, and it blends into other similar-sized towns in the area. Sanford is mostly built out and has a large section of residential housing, a revived downtown district, and plenty of commercial activity, and it remains a transportation hub with an Amtrak and Sunrail stations, and Sanford International Airport, which is a great alternative to the chaos of the Orlando International Airport, is about 30 minutes down I-4. Where is Sanford? Sanford is located about 25 miles north of Orlando at the intersection of I-4 and the 417, the Wekiva Parkway area, on the southern shores of Lake Monroe and the St. Johns River. It sits immediately north of Lake Marion and is about a 45-minute ride to Daytona Beach over on the east coast, in about 2 hours the nearest west coast beaches over in the Homosassa area. So why would someone move to Sanford? Well, being a suburb of Orlando, there are many reasons people live here. First, the weather. We've got it really good. The weather here in Central Florida has average lows in the upper 40s in January and maybe February, and average highs in the low 90s in July and August. The temperatures here are very moderate throughout most of the year. Yes, plenty of people complain in July and August, but it seems like everybody has a pool in their backyard and the beaches are so close. Not to mention that, well, we don't even own snow shovels here. The cost of living is very reasonable here, being similar to the rest of Central Florida. Although the cost of real estate tends to be less expensive than down in Lake Marion, Orlando proper, it is more expensive in general than the neighboring West Volusia towns right across the St. Johns River Bridge to the north. At the time of this video, most of the homes are selling between around $325 and, around $600,000 as a whole. And the median sale price of a home is about $355,000, while it's around $515,000 just down in Lake Mary. The sales tax here is around 7%, which is typical in this area, and the gas prices are typically at or slightly below the national average. Overall, Sanford is touted as being just below the national average when considering the overall cost of living. There are plenty of jobs here with several companies including J.P. Morgan, Convergys, Verizon, Amazon up in Deltona, and a whole bunch more, and that doesn't even really take into account that Orlando is just a short ride south. There are many people here in this area that take the ride down I-4 to work at the tourist attractions too, just south of Orlando. Orlando is the big draw here, and we are just the little brother to all Orlando has to offer. From business to nightlife to the tourist traps down there, most people come to this area for what Orlando has to offer. Orlando is also where the brunt of the traffic is and the higher cost of real estate prevails, which are a couple of reasons people move to the suburbs like Sanford. So we spoke a little bit about what it costs to live here, but let's dig in a bit to what it's actually like to live in different neighborhoods. Remember, this is just an overview, and as such, I'll speak to generalities about the area. I surely won't cover every neighborhood, and I may well not cover the largest or even the best neighborhoods. The purpose here is to give you a general idea of what it's like to move to Sanford. The western third or so of Sanford is generally made up of pricier homes. There are several neighborhoods over here that are mostly on a quarter to 1 acre parcels that run mostly from the 5 to 800s, although there are some that run well over $1 million. There is a little bit of new construction in this area too, including the smallish Sylvan Trails and several other resale communities in the Sylvan Lake area. Sylvan Lake Reserve, Buckingham Estates, Barrington Club. I could go on and, don't forget Lake Forest. I'll put a link in that video at the end of this one to give you a real in-depth view of this large gated community that sits really right next to the 417, I-4, and the Wekiva Parkway. It's a nice little video. The south central section of Sanford has many communities with homes in the 300s for about 1,400 to 1,800 square feet. Many are in homeowners associations that don't have a lot in the way of restrictions or amenities like Country Club Park and Monterey Oaks. Kay's Landing is one of a couple gated communities in the area, and they have a pool and a playground, but not too much else. And those homes in there run in the upper 400s. There's a good bit of new construction throughout Sanford, but right now I think the bulk of it is over on the western edge, especially in Riverbend, Rosecrest, and Riverside Oaks, although much of that's already sold out by now. Most of these homes are selling in the 3s and 400s. There are numerous townhome communities throughout Sanford and these surrounding areas, and they provide a good alternative to a single-family home, as their fees often cover exterior maintenance and yard maintenance. So most of what I've spoken about so far has been mostly in homeowner association-style homes, but there really is plenty of housing that's nothing like that in this area. Downtown there's a beautiful historic district, and there's plenty of very nice housing in that area that has been greatly improved over the last 20 years or so. Of course, there's also housing throughout Sanford that is much less expensive, much of which is in the western central area and runs along, 1792, which is the main old thoroughfare throughout Sanford. There are even a few farm-type parcels in the area, although really most of that has been sold off to build some of these new communities and for commercial development, which has really become quite a big deal in recent years. There are very few manufactured homes here in Sanford, and there are also some RV parks and numerous apartment complexes, but it's really mostly made up of single-family residential homes when considering where people live here in Sanford. So what do the locals do here? Well, here in Sanford, being about 45 minutes to the beaches, most people go there regularly. On weekends and holidays, they can be packed though, so getting there early or late can be a really good thing. My wife and I love walking those beaches in the mornings or in the evenings, especially after dark at night in the summer when it's cooled off a bit. The St. Johns River is famous for its fishing. Bass and specks, or crappie as they call them up north, is a big deal here, and tournament anglers flock here regularly. I've spent many mornings and many days on Lake Monroe speck fishing those warm waters along the old power plant. Of course, we're under 45 minutes to Mosquito Lagoon to the east, and of course, the beaches just beyond that provide all sorts of fishing options. Historic downtown Sanford and its brick-lined streets is rich in history and has an old town feel. Many years ago, I worked down there and I would typically skirt the downtown area after dark as it just didn't feel safe to me. However, today it's been completely revitalized and I feel much better when I'm down there day or night. There are regularly festivals and events that we attend here, and the downtown district has an abundance of eateries, several breweries, and a walkway along Lake Monroe, and the marina is a great place to get some fresh air. Oktoberfest at Hollerbach's Willow Tree may be my favorite event, as the German food here, and the beer, are great. There's a river ship romance, or now I believe it's called the Barbara Lee or something like that. It's a nice little meal cruise that goes out of the marina that's a nice little change of pace. The Sanford Mall area is another option. While malls everywhere have struggled, the Sanford Mall has some activity centers. They have a new Elevate in there, which has laser tag, bowling, ropes course, and all kinds of cool stuff. There's also a big gym in there and a Dick's Sporting Goods. There's some department stores, and the food court is still there too. Surrounding the mall are several restaurants, and it's all right on I-4, so it's really convenient if you were heading somewhere else to stop along the way. The Sanford Zoo is really nice too. It's pretty inexpensive, and they have some zip lining in there and regularly do special events. Sanford has a couple Walmarts, a Target, the typical chains that you'd expect to find in other cities of this size too. There are several parks here in Sanford, and I surely won't even try to cover them all. The biggest one, at least in my mind, is the Lake Sylvan Park off of Lake Markham Road near the Seminole soccer complex. This massive complex has soccer, baseball, and football fields, a playground, a clubhouse, tennis, pickleball courts, walking trails, camping, a dock for fishing, and pavilions. This is really a nice place. Those pavilions are really nice when you got a bunch of people getting together for a barbecue or something like that. They've really got everything here. I'll include a link to this park and a couple other links below. Grove View Park is a personal favorite of mine, and although I'm a lousy pickleball player, this place is set up very well for all levels of competitors. Fort Mellon Park, to me, is the highlight of the progress the city of Sanford has made in recent years. This park sits right along Lake Monroe on the north side of town and has a great playground. It's really a great place just to hang out, and it's really only a short walk to downtown to some of those restaurants and breweries I talked about earlier. I'd really be remiss if I didn't talk about the Black Bear Wilderness area up on the north side. This 1,600-acre park along the St. Johns River has some great hiking through the Florida scrub, and there's some other hiking options just a bit west of there in the Seminole State Forest. So let's talk about where the locals eat here in Sanford. Of course, Sanford has all the chains of other mid-sized towns like Bahama Breeze, Carrabba's, Chick-fil-A, yeah. Nothing too exciting here, but let's talk about some of my favorites. Although I already mentioned Hollerbach's Willow Tree, this little place has great German food. The lamb shank is my personal favorite, but they've also got a pretzel that I love, and it goes great with one of their mini beers. The old jailhouse is a great little place downtown. It's literally an old jailhouse. It's small and it's quaint, and it's a bit pricey, but the food is really good here. Sanford Brewing Company is a great little brewery, and I really enjoy going with friends and family down there to get a drink. I like Henry's Depot in the old train station when I'm there with a group, as there's a lot of options for people. They also have live entertainment there too. There are so many great places to eat here in the downtown area. The District, the Tennessee Truffle, the Breezeway. I really can go on, but I'm spending way too much time here. Let's move on. Sanford has numerous elementary schools, 2 or 3 middle schools, and primarily 4 high schools. Seminole High, Crooms Academy of IT, Lake Mary High, and the 9th Grade Center. Seminole State College is right here off of 1792 as well. In the comments below, I'll leave the link to the Seminole County Public School website, as well as another link that you can check out to see how these local schools are rated. Central Florida Regional Hospital is the main hospital in Sanford, but there is a new one that's pretty close by down in Lake Mary. There are several long-term care facilities here in Sanford too, but if something like that was needed, the surrounding cities should also be considered, and you could add a whole bunch of facilities that could meet all sorts of needs within just a 30-minute ride. So, we've talked about what Sanford is and some of what it has to offer, but what isn't so great about Sanford? Sanford has a bad reputation over the years. Yes, there is some crime that still occurs here, but I really don't think it's anything like what it used to be, and I really feel very safe when I come here. However, if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, you may want to move down into Lake Mary, as there's more glamour down there, even though size-wise, well, they're really a much smaller town. Do a quick Google search to see what you can find out about the crime in the area, as there's really quite a bit online about this subject. I noted earlier that the prices of real estate were better than down in Lake Mary and Orlando, and that still holds true. However, many Sanfordites, I don't know if that's a real word or not, really think the prices are better as they head north, up in DeBary, DeLand, Orange City, and Deltona. I do like Sanford, but the noise here just seems to never end. There always seems to be someone honking their horn, or a train moving through, an ambulance, a police siren, or something. It just seems loud here. Perhaps you're okay with all that. Maybe you like the city scene, but it's a bit much for me. Surely, I haven't covered everything in Sanford, but you can see that it does have a good bit to offer in spite of a few small warts. If you have comments about what I've left off, or if what I've said was just plain wrong, let me know in the comments below. In those comments, I'll include several links that might be helpful to you as you consider moving to Sanford. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That way, whenever I publish other videos like this one, you'll get a small notification. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.